We are back for My Mayor, Season 2, Episode 2 with candidate Maria Scruggs. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well, Gerald. I hope the day is going well.
It is. So we've got a batch of 5 new questions for you. First one is, what's something you become much better at in the last 5 years that would surprise your younger self?
Well, I definitely have learned after many years of managing people from generations, different ethnicities, different socioeconomic backgrounds. The one thing that I have learned to do is listen. And I can tell you that in my younger self, my thought was, okay, it's important to have the answers. It's important to have the solutions. And everybody's just going to automatically get on board. Well, surprise, surprise, that was not always the case. And what I learned more than anything, and one of the things I'm really big on are surveys, and particularly from employees, and treating them more than just an exercise, but really digesting what they say. People want to be heard. And if they feel that you are not really listening and tuned in, meaning that you're not on the computer, you're not texting while you're talking, but they can sense that you're really feeling what it is they're trying to communicate. That has been a valuable lesson in my years of managing people.
That makes a lot of sense. So as mayor, there will be tens of thousands of people who want to be heard. So how do you balance the desire to really listen and hear everyone with limited hours in the day when there's lots of work to do?
Yeah. Well, the one thing that that I believe is that the 3,800 employees that serve under the mayor have to become an extension of the mayor. I am really big. My staff can tell you in my current role, one of the biggest things that can get you in trouble is if you feel that you are somehow better than the offender and you're not treating them like a customer, like you would want to be treated. That's going to be problematic for me. And that's a big culture shift in City Hall. And that's why when I talk about my platform, the number one thing on my platform, Gerald, it's about engaging the cabinet as well as everybody under them to understand the expectation of the culture that we're going to recreate with City Hall. Because you're right, I can't be everywhere at every turn, but the people that are obtaining checks from the city of St. Petersburg, it is the expectation that they're an extension of me, and that the extension that they are listening to what the people want to say, in addition to us having processes and systems in place that show people that we are listening, we are hearing what you're saying, we're processing it and making decisions to include your voice as opposed to excluding your voice.
Yeah, and the surveys can be really powerful for helping with that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful. What's a question you wish more people would ask before forming an opinion?
I wish more people would ask, do I really know Maria? Or how have I come to know Maria? Because surprising to me, it is amazing how much people engage you on social media, and that becomes their basis for their relationship with you. And they will say, "Oh, I know that. I know Maria." And I can tell you that is the farthest thing from the truth in a lot of instances. And I remember this incident at Publix, and there were about 4 people in the parking lot, and all of them happened to be my Facebook friends. Well, I didn't recognize them, and talking about being embarrassed. And when they told me they were my friends on Facebook and they were just really passionate about our friendship, and I said to my daughter, "Is that how Facebook works? Do people really expect?" She said, "Well, Mama, you just really are supposed to accept people as your friend that you know." I said, "Well, if somebody wanted to be my friend, I just accepted them. I didn't say, well, I don't know that person." So, lesson learned that I think I did not realize how much people use that for their basis of knowing the person and would form some very, very, very strong opinions about you based on the profile they see on social media.
Yeah, very, very true. Everybody is inundated with so much information that they'll take any little clue they can get about a person and probably overemphasize that just because of lack of other options. And then social is right there, and a lot of times they don't happen upon you, like in the parking lot at Publix, and so there's not many other options to get to know you. So that's all they really have to go on.
That's all they have. That's it. That's it.
Tell me about a time when you realize you've been completely wrong about someone.
Completely wrong. Well, as a candidate, I don't know if I should say this, but it's the truth. The time that I realized that I was really, really a little bit wrong about a person was when Jim Large and I had a heart to heart. We appeared on a podcast together about 2 months ago. And so we had a lot of time to talk. And while we knew each other, he really was always an adversary for me because I was the president of the NAACP. We were taking employee statements, blah, blah, blah. I had met him, but I'd never gotten to know him. Well, before that podcast, we had about 45 minutes to just talk about family and friends. And I remember leaving that conversation, even though I never told him this. So I'm telling him this on this show. I was like, you know what? We really have a lot more in common than we have than our differences. Yes, we have some fundamental differences, but we were in the same age group. We had children the same age. We grew up in St. Pete. We attended the same high school. So, that was really powerful for me. And I was committed to telling him that one day. But now that the question came up, I said, well, I'm going to tell him on the show, even though he's my opponent. Oh, well, it's the truth. So that was a lesson for me.
That's really beautiful. I'm glad you shared that. And there's so many layers to that too, to the point that we just talked about with having limited information about people and, the general, more often than not, the more time you spend with someone, the less your differences matter. And social media is the exact opposite of that. It's just a couple glossy photos and trying to, extrapolate a whole reality about someone from that. And I think what your experience was with Jim Large would be true for many people if they spent some time with other folks.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you again for sharing that. That was very good.
You're quite welcome.
What's a lesson life taught you the hard way?
Persistence. I don't know if you guys or how you plug into the social media, but as you well know, I have done this political thing, running for office several times. And this weekend, one of the mayor's supporters decided that she was going to mock me on social media, with a coming out saying something about the fact that she's curious about why somebody who's been running over 25 years has never won an election. Why would they continue to do it when they continue to lose? And what it brought back to me and what it brought back to the thousands of people that were obviously viewing and those that were the hundreds that responded was it's the persistence and the tenacity that I've had to endure. I was the first in a lot of situations coming out of the civil rights movement. I was the first African American to be elected homecoming queen at an integrated high school in Pinellas. I was the first Black female special agent with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement assigned to the Tampa office. I was the first Black um, Florida beverage agent assigned to the Orlando office. And so in these positions, you learn a lot about persistence, I'm sorry, because you're going to fail. You're going to fail a lot because there are going to be people that have they're very intentional on ensuring you fail. And what you learn is that you learn from those failures and you keep going. It does not phase me that I've run 6 times, 7 times, 100 times. It doesn't phase me. The question is, and always is, after I either succeed or I fail at something, is what was the lesson I took away from it? And I can tell you all of the lessons that I've learned from running the 6 or 7 times has made this time running for mayor easy as all out because you learn to focus on the real things that matter.
All right, final question.
Mhm.
When nobody's asking anything of you and curiosity takes over, what rabbit hole are you most likely to disappear into? What are you learning about?
Um, Testing my ideas because one of the things that I pledge when I on this, particularly on this campaign trail, is I admit that I'm not a professional politician and I don't even want to sound like one, and I don't want to give answers that, number one, have absolutely nothing that I can do anything about, or answers that are so complex that I'm trying to present the public that I can solve this in 2 minutes. And so what I spend a lot of time doing is when I originally was led to run for office and mapping out, what would I run on? The first thing that I wanted to look at is what are other cities doing? I'm probably not the first person that's thought of this. And what's the best practice? What have other communities learned about this, particularly on this issue of livable wages and supporting small businesses? And then when you start talking about the technical stuff, like the city becoming more resilient and storm, the climate change, I'm always reading to see what have others done and how have they done it well, and even some of the things they failed at. Because like I said, we can also learn a
Mhm.
lot from things we fail at and learn what not to do. So that's what I think I spend most of my time. If you were to check my chat GPT search or my search engines, you'd just find tons and tons of research on what are other cities doing in this area? What have they done in that area? And I think that's where my comfort zone comes in, when I feel that what I'm actually thinking about is very realistic. And there are others that I can lean on to as we begin to tackle some of these very tough questions that me as the next mayor is going to have, to know that there are people out there that have done it already and they've done it better, and I can certainly lean on them for support.
A lot of sense. Very thoughtful. Wonderful. Well, appreciate you joining us for episode 2. We'll see you again in a couple weeks for our next one. And until then, have fun on the campaign trail.
Thank you, Gerald. Thank you so much for having me. Really enjoying this fat format, and hopefully people are being able to see it and understand the candidates, get more insight into me as a candidate.